Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo here and welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with a new short movie. The name of the short movie is What If Naruto Was Raised by a Tribe. This is the part 1 of this, short movie because I wanted to make it into a movie but got sick, so that is why I'm making it into 2 short movies. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the part 1, and if you do, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel for part 2 as well. And yeah, do let me know if you want one. And as for your ideas, I have read the comments section and damn, you guys came up with some cool ass ideas. And as for this one, I watched an Indian movie known as Salar and got this idea from there. It was an amazing movie, and it is available with English subtitles. If you want to watch it, go watch it on Netflix. Maybe it's available there, I don't know. I watched it in cinema and it was amazing. Anyways, enough said. Without any further ado, let's begin with our today's short movie. Our story begins in elemental nations as we go towards a village known as Konohagakure no Sato. As now we see that miles away from village, screams could be heard as huge amount of smoke could be seen rising in the sky. Even if it was the nighttime, it was visible, and there was bright hue of fire in between those smokes. As now we go to the village to see that the civilians were running, trying to save their lives the best they could and getting away from it. By it I mean the strongest Biju known to the whole elemental nation, Kyubi no Yoko. As we see a huge fox with 9 tails twirling around behind it, descended upon the said village, and throwing everyone in its way and everything in its way like ragdoll, like it didn't mean it to anything. As standing in front of it and the village was only a mere line of shinobis as the last line of defense. And these people were led by the retired Hokage of the said village, Hiruzen Sarutobi, who, in his old age, in a profession where men die young, was able to survive 2 wars and had a huge amount of experience, and even he was having a hard time dealing with an enemy of such caliber such as Kyubi no Yoko. As now we see, he saw some of his men being thrown like ragdolls again. Damn it, where is Minato when you need him? Hiruzen thought to himself, men, hold your line. Our Hokage will be here in due time, and once he arrives, we will defeat the Biju. As everyone in unison said, "Hi, Hokage-sama." As now we see that as soon as these words were said, the Biju began to charge with a Bijudama in its mouth, as Hiruzen and everyone stopped, as if they have already given up. "No," said Hiruzen, but before anything could happen, there was a huge visage of shadow looming over them again, but it wasn't the Kyubis, as a huge toad was seen flying towards the Biju and headbutted it, causing it to have a misbalance and stop the Bijudama in its tracks from forming and completing itself. As that is when Hiruzen noticed who it was. It was the chief toad, known as Gamabunta. Gamabunta-sama. That means either Minato or Jirai is nearby. How about you pick someone of your own size? Hiruzen, help out Minato in the meantime. Leave this Biju to me. As now we see, Hiruzen, hearing the words of the chief toad, nodded and dashed towards Minato, who appeared in front of him as well on the other side. "Minato, what the hell is going on here?" said Hiruzen, arriving next to him. "I don't have much time to explain, but help me out here." Why have you brought these 2 infants here?" said Hiruzen, as he saw 2 infants, one with red hair and one with blonde hair, as both of them were being placed in a basket as Minato began to draw the seals, and that is when Hiruzen realized what he was about to do. "Are you sure about this, Minato? Kushina will be here soon. She's being treated. I was able to find 2 medic Konomichis and they're treating her. As soon as she has enough strength, she will join us. This is our only chance and hope. I have talked this through with her. We don't have much time, Hiruzen-sama. If we don't do something now, the Biju will end up destroying the village tonight." I know. As now we see, as both of them were talking still, Kushina arrived. "Minato, have you finished the seal?" Yes, I drawn the seal." "Good." As now we see, hand seals were made by both of them. "What are you going to do?" "We are going to use the Hakai-Fuyin to summon the Shinigami. That is the only way." "What?" said Hiruzen, looking towards Minato, his successor, with shocked-filled eyes and expression. Are you sure about this?" "Yes." "Then let me do it." "What?" I will do it instead of both of you. Your kids might need you, and knowing the village, they might try something, especially the elders. I know those 3. I have spent time with them long enough to realize what they truly are and what they truly want. You don't want Do not be here when that happens. I I see. Are you sure about this, Hiruzen-sama? I am an old man, Minato, living in a world where people die young. I have lived long enough. It's time for me to go as well. Tell Bivako and my kids that I'm sorry and I died for my village, protecting them. Bivako-sama is dead. What? Said Hiruzen, hearing another shocked, and that is when he smiled. Then I guess I will be joining my wife soon then. Better not keep her waiting. She tends to get cranky when I make her wait. As now we see, Hiruzen begin to do the hand seals and summon the Shinigami. And with the help of the Shinigami exchanging a deal, Hiruzen was able to exchange his soul by splitting the Biju into two parts and being sealed in these two children in front of him. And that is what the Shinigami did and took his payment afterwards, which was Hiruzen's soul. As Hiruzen's soul began to slowly leave his body, Hiruzen with a smile on his face then said, "You better make sure that the kids are well protected, Minato. And make sure you get that bastard who did this to our home." I will, Hiruzen-sama. As that is when, from a vortex, out of nowhere appeared the same masked person who caused all of this. As Minato turned around in an instant, as he saw what was about to happen, as his eyes widened. "No, you don't!" As one of the kids were being grabbed. As masked person then said, "You think I would allow you to walk freely after foiling my plans, Minato? Then you are sadly mistaken. You took something from me, I'm gonna take something away from you. Now we're even." As Minato, all he could say was, "Yell, no!" And before anything could be done, the man disappeared. As Minato was just standing there now, shocked filled expression adoring his face, as he looked behind towards his predecessor, as he too had a shocked filled expression. "I'm sorry, Minato. I'm so sorry." And with those words said, and being lost coming out of Hiruzen's mouth, he perished. As now we see, Kushina began to cry, as the shinobis who were about to celebrate then stopped, seeing that two tragedies had happened. One was a bigger one, the other one was not small either. As an Anbu appeared next to Minato and Kushina, "Sensei," he said, as knowing who was behind that mask of Inu. Minato then said, "Kakashi, find that man. Take your team and search for it, even if you have to go to the border of the land of fire. I want that man found now, and my son as well. Hi, you heard him. We're leaving, now," said Kakashi, as all of the Anbus were disbanded. As now we see, Kushina was being hugged by Minato as he held on to his son, fearing that the masked person might come again and take the other one away. "Our Naruto, no, please, not my son," said Kushina. "I promise you, Kushina, I will find our son, no matter how long it takes. And when that bastard is in front of us, I'll allow you to have your revenge. You better." As Kushina was still in tears and so was Minato. What was supposed to be a moment of triumph turned into a moment of sorrow for both the family and the whole village, because not only they lost a great leader, an elder of the village, but they also lost a future generation, and in Danzo's eyes, a great asset, as one might say. As now we see, on the other side with the masked person, who arrived through the same vortex, somewhere far, far away from the whole elemental nation in a huge thick forest, and waiting for him there was Zetsu. "Ah, Zetsu, this is where you are. Why have you called me to brought the child here? It is safe to say that we should disregard of this child. Obito, do not call me by that name. I am no longer Obito. He is dead. I am that Toby now, Zetsu." "I see. I'm sorry, Toby. The thing is that we do no longer need that child. You have your revenge. But the Jinchuriki, the other child can be used. The seal is strong and the Shinigami has just enforced it. And we do not know how to break through it. I doubt that many of the Fuinjutsu master out there can. So what do you suggest, Zetsu? We wait. Find a way. And then, when we have the time, we grab the other child." "I see. Yes, that is perfect," said Toby after thinking for a bit. "In this way, I will have my complete revenge." "What about him then? What should we do with this one?" said Zetsu. "As you said, disregard him. Take him somewhere and throw him away. We no longer need him." As now we see, Zetsu was given the child as Toby now disappeared. As Zetsu entering the forest, which was huge dense and wasn't traveled before by the people of the whole elemental nation before, entered it and on a huge rock just placed the child there and left. As now we see, some shadows begin to move in the bushes, and out came people who looked like they were from a tribe, a wild tribe. They wore leaves and a lot of skulls around their neck. As one of the tribesmen then looked towards the kid, seeing that he had whisker marks like their god, the one they worshipped and gained their strength from. Ronin god, otherwise known as lion in our language, which means in Japanese it's known as Ronin. So yeah, that is where I got this idea from. Anyways, moving onwards, the chief then was presented with the boy after some of those who arrived out there take Naruto, as placing him in front of an elder chief who was an old woman with a staff and blind eyes. The woman smiled and said, "Naruto, child of prophecy, child of Ronin." As that is when we see Naruto's eyes open to reveal blue hues, as the old woman smiled, and so did the whole village as they begin to cheer. As now we go back to Konoha, far away from the Ronin village that was situated far away in the form of a tribe from the whole elemental nation in a huge dense thickened forest, away from all the chaos. In Konoha we see that a council meeting has just come to an end, and Minato was back in his Hokage office, waiting for Kakashi, hoping that the news about his son being found and the masked bastard being found would arrive, but it didn't. Because once Kakashi returned, he returned empty-handed. "I'm sorry, Sensei. We searched even at the borders of the other villages, and even the minor ones, even went to the Uzishio ruins, but no trace of them was found. Even Inuzuka hounds were included, and still, the scent wasn't found by them. It just disappeared where it was, and after that, anywhere we went, no scent of that was traced back to." "Damn it," said Minato. "Then what happened to him? Did he just disappear? Were we really fighting just a ghost? And that ghost stole my son? No, I know that wasn't a ghost. That was something else, something more. We need to find that bastard, and once we do, you bring him to me." "Sensei, you bring him to me, Kakashi, you hear?" Yes, Sensei." Seeing that Minato was enraged, Kakashi knew better not to mess with him, and already enraged his frustration. So, he nodding and agreeing, left. As now we see, Minato returned home. Home where Kushina was now quiet. Tears dried on her face as she looked down to her only son left, holding him so close and protectively, because she was getting paranoid that the masked person will come back. "Kushina, did you get any news?" No, they were not able to. Our son is alive out there, Minato, and you haven't found him yet. If you won't, then I will. Kushina, please. We need to prepare ourselves. Even if that person doesn't have our son, God knows what he have done with him. Our Naruto he's not dead, said Kushina. He is alive. I know it. He's out there. I have a gut feeling, and a mother's intuition and gut feeling is never wrong, Minato. I know that much. As Minato couldn't say anything to his wife, but to calm her down, he looked towards their other child, Menma. Uzumaki Namikaze looked towards Menma. Think for his sake, please, Kushina. I need you to steel yourself and be a mother to him. Naruto will be fine if he's out there. I promise you, he is out there, Minato, said Kushina. As Minato nodded, yes, I know, Kushina, he is out there. And once he is found, I will bring him back, I promise. In the meantime, we need to focus on Menma and his well-being and protection as well. We cannot ignore that. You're right. We can't. As now we see, after that day, time began to pass by, as 8 years went by in the blink of an eye. For most, but for Minato and Kushina, these 8 years were quite anguish-filled, because they still to this day missed their other son, Naruto, who was snatched away from them. And they were close to giving up hope, but still haven't, because Jiraiya, soon after he has disappeared, was involved, and he has been searching for Naruto. As Jiraiya has taken it upon himself to find it, even if he has to search out the whole world, and he has been doing so diligently. As this was going on, we see that 8-year-old Menma being trained harshly by Kushina. You need to strengthen your fist, son. If you want your enemies to not come after you or kill you or finish you off, you have to harden your nerves. As that is when Minato arrived there to see that Menma was getting scared of his mother. You need to soften a bit, Kushina. He's only an 8-year-old boy. A boy who needs to learn how to protect himself. We won't be always here, Minato. He needs to harden himself. All I'm doing is trying my best to be a mother who knows what is best for his child. And I am trying to be a father who is telling you that this is far enough. Too much for the kid for the time being. You've done great, son. How about you go in and relax? As after that, Menma could hear, while inside the house, that both of his parents were arguing. As sometimes he wondered, why? As he would often cry because of how harsh his mother was training him. It was supposed to be a family bonding type of thing, as his father said, but if anything, he was being fed up of all this training and was even going for not being a shinobi at all. He hated being one, if this is what it takes to be one. As now we see, back in his room, his safe haven, we see he finally relaxed and said, "What should we do, Kurama? I can't take any more of this. You have to let her slide, as I have mentioned before, kid," said a deep grumbling voice from within the said boy. This was the inside of Kurama that was sealed within Menma, and over the course of years, even if the Biju hated it, still being the reasonable side, he saw that the kid has done nothing wrong to it. If anything, he had no say in it, and seeing that the kid doesn't even want to be a shinobi, and yet his mother and father were pushing him to be one, and all the pressure on him and his shoulders, he knew it was time to reveal the truth that has been hidden from him over the course of 8 years by his parents. As his friend and mentor, Kurama thought it would be the best choice, and maybe a motivator for the kid. As Kurama then said, "You know why they're pushing you so hard, kid?" "Yeah, I always wonder. Look into the mirror for me." As Menma then got up, quite weirded out by this situation, as he saw his own visage in the image staring back at him. "What?" "See yourself. Now imagine yourself with blonde hair instead of red. And a little bit of tanny skin." "Okay." You imagined it, right? Use the Henji technique to Henji into that. As now we see, Menma did what Kurama told him to do. As now he turned into a carbon copy of Naruto. "So what? I just have blonde hair and a little bit tannish skin. That is your brother." "What? What do you mean by that?" "That is the visage of how your brother, who was your twin when you were born, was supposed to look." "What? I have a twin?" "Calm down, kid, and keep your voice down. I don't want your parents to be found out about us or you knowing about your brother." "Then why did they hide this from me?" "Calm down, kid, I'm telling you." As after that, Kurama began to explain everything in a flashback of what happened and what went wrong in the end that caused his parents to change so much. "I can't believe this. So my brother is out there, or maybe dead." "No, he's not dead. I can still feel the chakra of my other half, but it's very, very faint, kid. Indicating that my brother is alive," said Menma with widened eyes. But the question is where? As now we have a scene cut to far, far away from the whole elemental nation, and a little bit far away in the huge dense forest where the Royan tribe resided. To see that some kids were out again, and this time they were chasing a wild boar with a lot of weapons that they have crafted by themselves in their hands, an axe, spears, as well as some blades that was different from katanas that were used by shinobis. They were like swords, twin-edged blades instead of single-edged, as some of them even had bows in them, using wooden arrows with some metal attached to it in front. As they were all chasing, one of them then yelled, "Oi, Naruto! The boar is heading your way." As now we see Naruto opening his eyes as he was in a meditative position and got up. As he then turned around, as an image of tattoos of the tribe were shown on both of his shoulders. Even at the age of 8, he was much more developed instead of the other kids, having a little bit more height and some toned muscles already visible on his visage. Not being skinny or a scrawny kid anymore, as Naruto's hair was long as well. As Naruto then looked towards the boar, as the wild boar, still enraged, was rushing towards Naruto like it was about to throw him away to get away. But as soon as he arrived next to Naruto, Naruto, using his bare hands, grabbed onto his horns and, using his strength alone, lifted the boar up straight into the air, off the ground, because of his pure strength, as everyone halted, seeing that the boar was already caught by Naruto. As Naruto then slammed the boar down on the ground, and using his bare hands, he twisted the neck of the boar, and using a knife thrown by his friend, he slit his throat, making the blood seep out, and not clotting in between. As everyone cheered because Naruto has hunted another boar again, and knew that the chief of the village would be proud, as Naruto called her Granny, or Elder, because she was the one who adopted him. As now we see Naruto carrying the boar on his shoulder that was usually carried by a stick, even by some teenagers, which took 2 teenagers to carry one boar, was now thrown over his shoulder, and he was carrying it back to the village. As his friends and the hunting group were quite proud of him. As soon as he entered the village, everyone began to cheer and look at Naruto with a smile on his face, as Naruto, still looking forward, then arrived in front of the tent where the chief resided, as he threw the boar down and entered within. As Naruto bowed and said, "Granny, I returned with the boar." As Naruto saw that the granny was worshipping their god, Ryan, a huge man-like lion with a huge sword that they used in battle, standing in front of them. "May Ryan be with you, Naruto." As Naruto stood up with a smile on his face again. "Look, you covered in blood again, child. Go wash yourself." As Naruto sighed. "Seriously? Is that what you are worried about?" "Yes, you are my son, and you would do as I say." Yes, Granny, I will." As Naruto rolled his eyes, and with a sigh he left, leaving Granny happy. As the whole village was about to have a feast tonight, as Granny announced it, we see that Naruto sensed some men approaching. His senses have been keen from the beginning, and not to forget about his sixth sense. The voice from within him always told him what to look out for and what to do. As Naruto, being on high alert, as his voice guided him that there are some men approaching them, arrived, using his mask and the sword that he has taken, the sword of his god, at the entrance of the village alone, as he then said, slamming the sword into the ground and putting both of his hands on the top of the hilt. "Halt!" Naruto yelled out, as the men appeared to be shinobis. So this is where the tribe of the legend resides, huh? The Ronin tribe from the Ronin god. "We heard that you possess some minerals that we require. Hand them over and we will leave. You will not dare set a foot in our land. As its protector, it is my duty to protect it," said Naruto, like a true royalty. But the people who were in front of him were Jonins of Eva, who laughed, as they all charged towards him, saying that they should end this brat and end this village. Enraged, Naruto unleashed his true rage by grabbing the sword with one bare hand and swinging it in a whole rotation, cutting down 3 men in halves, as the other 3 stopped and halted in their position because they were taking the kid easily. But seeing that even at such a young age he was able to slice through 3 men with one bare hand, that was enough to terrify them, as they were on guard and used their true strength. But even then, Naruto, using his whole senses, was able to detect from where they were going to attack, even if they were being stealthiest, as one even charged Naruto with a fist, as Naruto grabbed onto it and snapped his whole wrist by twigging it like a toothpick and punched him in the face, breaking his jaw. As that is when the other 2 realized, "This kid, what kind of monster is he? His strength is way too much." As that is when they noticed that there were 1 sun and 1 moon on each of his shoulders, and beneath it was the sign of lions, indicating that he was the protector indeed of this village. As that is when the two remaining were now being looked at like praise by Naruto, who was circling them with a katana with a blade that was now dripping with blood. As he then said, "I gave you a warning. You didn't heed my warning. Wait, listen. You don't know who you're messing with. You're going to cause an imbalance, and if we don't return, an expedition team will be sent for to look out for us. Many more will come. Let them all come. I will end them all," said Naruto, stabbing his blade into the chest of that man, opening up his chest. As for the other one, with a single hand, he cleaved off his neck with that huge sword. Naruto then looked down at it himself, covered in blood, and so did his sword. Damn it. Granny sure is gonna be mad. I don't want to scare the others. What should I do? I'll help you. Close your eyes, kid, said the voice from within that always guided him. As Naruto's eyes opened to be red with slits this time around, his teeth turned into canine, as that is when we see a huge amount of fire came out of his mouth and burned the body to ashes. As that is when Naruto returned back to his normal self. What? How did this? You don't need to worry about that. Return to the river and wash yourself before returning back to the tribe, so that no one can get suspicious. As now we see, Naruto did as what his voice suggested, that guided him always. As once Naruto returned, we see that it was already nighttime and his granny was being pissed. And seeing that the man of the hour arrived, the whole tribe cheered and celebrated as Naruto finally called it a night in the night and went to his tent. As he was resting, we see that Granny arrived inside the tent and closed the tent shut. As Granny then said, "Kurama, what have the boy done? I can sense blood smell on him." As Kurama woke up instead of Naruto hearing his name, "You don't need to worry about anything, Elder. He hasn't done anything. He was only doing his duty as the protector, the chosen one." As the elder then said, "Still, I worry about him." "You don't need to. He has me, and your own god, protecting him, doesn't he?" said Kurama with a smirk, as the elder smiled. "Thank you, again, Kurama." As after that, Kurama then said, "You don't need to mention it. After all, I owe it to the boy." As now we see the elder return, as Kurama returned back to the sleeping state. As now we go towards the mindscape where we see Naruto's resting massage in front of the Biju. As the Biju, instead of having any malicious or hateful intent towards the boy, had protective intent. Why? Because of two reasons. One, Roin tribe was the only tribe that his father mentioned was loyal to their god, and not only that, they were the ones who always told the truth and even knew who he was even before he revealed it and where he came from. And the second one was that his father has visited, indicating that Naruto was the child of prophecy indeed. So to make sure that the child of prophecy was in perfect health and safe, Kurama was entrusted with his safety, and not only that, but to guide him as well. But something has changed over the course of years. Kurama, instead of guiding him to be a proper shinobi like his father wanted, was making sure that the kid was just protected, because the kid respected him and didn't demand anything from him like it was rightfully his. So Kurama began to act like his inner voice that guided him, and that is how the relationship of a voice that guided and the man who followed was formed. While this was going on, we go towards a secret location in Amegakure, where we see in the shadows some people were gathered and they were talking about taking over the elemental nations and something going on. And amongst them was Zetsu and their leader Tobi, and the fake leader in presenting and guiding all of them right now, Pain, a man with Rinnegan. We have heard that Iwa's shinobis were venturing in the deep forest, trying to search for minerals, but they haven't returned. Isn't that right, Deidara? Yes. From what we have been gathering from all the villages, this is some quiet news, indicating that something must have happened here. It has been said that Royan tribe resides there, a legendary mythical tribe that has the strength of 100 men each. As all of their eyes widen, sounds like a fight, said Kisame. If it exists, you don't need to fight it. What? They do not like people who are not their own, and they don't like to, mingle as well. So that is why they reside far away, and that tribe is the tribe of heroes. Heroes known as the Rhine God, one of the legend of the past. I know his stories. A man of enough strength that he alone defeated armies of combined strength. How do you know so much? And why do we not know about this? Said Pain. He was feared so much by the people around that he was removed from the pages of the history itself. People did not want the others to know about him so that they won't be influenced by his messages, influenced by his strength, and influenced by what he stood for. What did he stood for? Like a true king, as people say, he stood for justice and would take on battles to protect those who were important to him. And that is why the people who were saved by him, blessed by him, became the Ronin tribe, after his name, the Lion King tribe. As after hearing that, everyone felt some sort of chills run down their spine, and even Zetsu. Why? Because he was there. He knew what it felt like to be in a battle with him. He was merely able to survive because he was young at the time, because Royan had just been done wiping out 8 villages who were trying to just get into his territory to make them theirs, fighting over each other to make his territory theirs. And that is why, as a king and alpha, he killed them without mercy. And he still felt shivers run down his spine, even to this day, seeing the look in his eyes, his blue hues looking at him under the cowl that he was wearing, the cowl of a lion. As now we see, back in Konoha, other things was going on except for this. In Konoha, a Kage summit was called for, as it was called by Oniki from Eva, and he had something urgent to tell. As now we see, Minato already saw a headache coming from afar, as Kushina and Menma arrived at the Hokage office, because Minato had called for them. Minato, is everything alright? Why have you called us here in the midst of Menma's trading? As Menma looked down, I've called you here because I have gotten a news from, Oniki. He said that he has something to tell us about the northern forest that has been unexplored, and said to be dangerous, off limits, even by the sage, where no man has ventured ever before. What about it? We don't have time for that. Something is weird. He said that his men hasn't returned, and for that he has to call for a Kage summit. He believes in some sort of myth, I believe. What? What do you mean by that? What I believe is that he's talking about a legend known as the Ronin tribe. A tribe made out of, I know about that story. You have told me before. A mythical tribe possessing a strength each of 100 men, and their protector born every 100 years, protecting the strength of 1,000 men each. As Minato nodded, yes, you are correct. If this is true, then who knows, maybe Naruto is there. As Kushida then said, don't give me hope, Minato. It has been years. It has been several years, and yet nothing has been found. Not a single trace has been found. All that there is left is, as Kushina then looked towards Menma and said, our son. And we have to do our best to protect him. Everything in our will and power to protect him. As now we see, Minato then said, regardless, I have called you here to tell you that I will be leaving there, and if an expedition team is prepared, I will be heading there alongside the other Kages soon after that, so I won't be able to return. I see. Good luck on your mission then. As after that, Minato was seen leaving with the delegate to Iron Country, where it was held. The Kage summit was held. As now we see all the Kages were gathered there, as Minato then said, okay, now can we begin with this meeting? We have other things to worry about. Oniki. Now, calm down, Minato. I know as much as you don't like being here, I don't like being in the same room as you as well. But the thing is that something has come in the clear. It is said that my men who have died were engaged by a mere 8-year-old, wearing nothing more than leaves and having markings on his body, indicating that he was from the legendary mythical Royan tribe. And you know what he did? He cut them off with a single hand, from what my spy could tell me. What? What do you mean by that? You see, what happened was, a spy, a Chunin who was able to mask his chakra and presence so much that not even a Skagas could be able to detect it, was hidden amongst them, and was following them, as they were the expedition teams to send out there to search for the mineral that were required by me. And while doing so, they came across some sort of tribe from far away, as they could see a smoke rising, and that is when this 8-year-old arrived and stopped them in their tracks. As an image drawn by hand by a sketch artist was shown, he wore a mask of a lion, wooden drawn mask, tattoos on his shoulder. Are you sure this is an 8-year-old boy? He is, or he could be younger. But the blade that he's holding, it's different. This is the Royan blade. It's known as a sword instead of a katana like we traditionally use. I see. So what of it? Why is it important to us? Don't you see it? Royan tribes still exist, and if they do, this is a danger to all of us. What? How so? Said A, as he expected to be answered as soon as he said this question. As everyone was quiet, I said, why? Why do we do this? Because the brat killed your people? Can't you see? A young kid was able to slay 8 of my most strongest Jonins out there with his bare hands. We cannot allow them to live. If they tried to engage in a battle or tried to take over, what will happen? Royan has, in the history books, tried this before. If it wasn't for their leader, the god they worship, being dead, dying in an old age in a battle, they would have taken over by now, and they would have not retreated back then. We should end them as fast as we can before it is too late. As now we see, only one village agreed, and that was none other than Suna. We agree. I have also heard the myths of this Royan and this clan. We cannot no longer let this slide. We can no longer allow the same mistakes that our ancestor made to be continued. We are strong now. We have the Bijus at our bay. We will be able to do a lot more damage to them. After all, they are just a tribe, are they not? Yes. But have you forgotten how much strength they hold? Said Mei Terumi. We are out. We are no longer going to affiliate on this matter or talk about this matter. If they exist, then let them. We know, I know how it feels to be suppressed without any reason, a war being started without any reason. As on the other side, Minato said, I agree to join you, but not because of what you think, Kaneki. I will be only there to see if the legend is true or not. And if it is, then we will form a negotiation that we will leave them alone and return. After all, there is much more important matters to tend to, said Minato, as Aiden said, to hell with it. I agree with Namikaze over here. I also want to see this tribe. So, I alongside my delegation will be the only ones there. I hope it's okay with you, Minato. It's fine, Asama. As now I see, Oniki agreed to this and the pact was made. 2 villages taking their armies and 2 taking their delegations, while Kiri returned back as they arrived from the meeting because Mei didn't want any part in this. As now we see, time went by, as soon after a few months just alone, while Naruto and his, playmates were playing again and hunting some wild boars, Naruto sensed something, kid. A lot of people, a lot of them are approaching, and I remember one of the chakras as well. What is it? Make sure that everyone is safe. Return them home, everyone. Return back to the tribe this instant, said Naruto, unsheathing his huge sword from behind his back. What? Are you? Now, said Naruto as he took off his mask and wore it on his face, indicating that he was no longer their friend at the moment. He was the protector, ordering them to do what he was what he was doing and telling them to do. As now we see the others nodded instinctively and nodded and returned back and told the others. As now we see the elder looked saddened, and then she said, None of you dare leave this place. May Rowan protect you all, and the barrier erupt of his protection. Leave this to me alone. As now we see the elder begin to make a way out of the village. Where are you going, elder? One of them asked. It is time I tell the truth to Naruto. And it is time I stop him before he commits something that he will regret later on. As now we see, screams were heard. Oh no, it is already too late. As now we have a flashback moments before that. As Naruto arrived there with one blade in his hand, as he slammed it in front of them on the ground and put it both of his hands on the hilt like a king, as he then said, Halt! As that is when everyone realized this was the same kid, but this time the armies, some of them were vengeful while the others were cautious, because they knew that this was a kid that was alone able to cut down all of the 8 men that were sent here on expeditions. You, brat, you are from the Ruin clan, are you not? Said Onigi. What is it to you, you old fossil? Leave this place. Leave our sacred land, or otherwise I will not hold back. What makes you think that you can do any damage to us, kid? Said one of the tallest from the Eva as he began to move. Oi, stop! Said Oniki, but he didn't listen as he arrived in front of Naruto. As Naruto then said this. He didn't say anything, he just with his one hand sliced the swords upwards, slicing the man in half, as everyone was shocked by the mere strength of the brat, as the man split it in half as Naruto was revealed, and so was his blade that was lifted up in the sky as he pointed towards them. Leave my home, I request, said Naruto, because this was his last warning and he was already on edge now and enraged. Calm your nerves down, kid. As that is when something much more interesting happened, as Kurama's eyes widened. What is this? I sense a power within this brat. Something more much akin to mine. As that is when Naruto said, Time's up. It is time I do this. As Naruto then dashed, as Minato and A, who were absorbing this from far away, then nodded. Well, it's a good thing that we didn't engage in battle, Minato. Things could have gotten south. And damn, that boy has some strength. The blade looks already heavy. And him being able to slice that huge man with just a single swing of his with a single hand, and it alone says how much strength they hold. As Minato's eyes narrowed, as he noticed the features on the boy. Blonde hair, tan skin. As that is when we see that what happened next was a massacre. Naruto alone with the newfound strength from his god, Roin, being the new protector, was able to destroy more than 800 shinobi's Konoichis combined, cutting through them all, just at the age of mere 8, as he then stood in front of the leaders, panting heavily. As Onigi then said, You damn brat! As that is when all this was said, as Naruto appeared next to him, and with a single swing of his blade again, sliced both of his hands from which he was forming the particle release cube. As Onigi, seeing his both hands on the ground and him bleeding, cried in agony. As that is when Naruto then said, I warned you, old fossil. As that is when he heard the voice of his granny. Naruto, stop! As that is when Naruto stopped just few inches away from slicing away Rasa's head cleave off, as his blade returned back to him, as Naruto retreated back, as he stood in front of the granny. As that is when we see Minato with a shocked expression and hopeful eyes, as he heard the name Naruto. As that is when he saw the boy take off his mask to reveal three whisker marks on each side of his cheek, blue eyes and blonde hair with tan skin, and carbon copy of Menma as well. Son, Naruto. As A's eyes widened as he heard these words. Don't tell me. That boy over there. That is your son? Yes, that is my son. As now we see, A was both shocked and amazed that such a warrior at such a young age was son of Minato, the Yellow Flash. As on the other side we see the shinobis who were already standing there were both terrified seeing what the kid has done More than half of their armies were wiped out, and their Kages, they were terrified. Oniki has lost most precious weapon of his hands from where he could form the particle style. And on the other side, Rasa was traumatized and frozen because he was just about to die, and there was nothing he could do. His sand barriers couldn't do. As now we see, Naruto then said, turning towards them, "Be grateful that my mother has told me to stop. It is time I tell you the truth, my son. That can wait, mother. First, I need to protect this tribe." As that was enough said, as he saw a yellow flash appear in front of him, but that is when, before Naruto could do anything or engage, Naruto was being hugged in a tight bear grip hug by a blonde-haired man. "Naruto, you don't know how much I searched for you over the course of years." As that is when Minato showed his face to Naruto as his eyes widened, as he was shocked to see that the man had the same features as him, or he had the same features as this man. "My son." As the man said this with a smile on his face and tears in his eyes, as that is when Naruto then said, "What is going on here?" "Everything will be explained, my son. Let's go inside." As now we see, Naruto and the others were taken inside as Oniki was treated again, and his, arms that were now stumps were bandaged. As Oniki then said, "I apologize." To Naruto, "What? I should have listened to you. I know that this land is important, but we became fearful. And rightfully so, we were correct. Listen, me and my tribe, we are not battle hungry like before. We wish to live in peace. Leave us alone and you will be left alone, like you have been for all these years. If we wanted, we could have done this before. But no, our only goal is survival, and to stay far, far away from the whole elemental nations," said the elder. As that is when we see Oniki then said, "I apologize. We should have listened and not wasted this much manpower." As even Minato was surprised. Usually Oniki would have hated them to death, but knowing that if an 8-year-old was able to defeat them to such an extent, they were already defeated by the whole village, because this tribe alone carried the strength of the whole elemental nation if it wanted to be, and could solo it alone after seeing the display of power by Naruto. As now we see, the elder then said, "We will allow you to leave, but promise us that you won't return here, because if you do, we will give you a warning as before, but then, soon after, we will engage. We vow. We vow as our honor of the Hokage and other Kages that we won't return," said Minato, before Oniki could say anything, as the others nodded immediately. "Good. You all may return, except for you, blonde man. We have something to discuss with you." As all of them begin to leave with their armies, but Konoha's delegation and Minato remained behind, as was Naruto. As in the tent of the elder then revealed, "I found him. My men did. And soon as we did, I heard a whisper from the Ronin himself. This was his reincarnation. He is the incarnation of our God. He is Ronin himself. The spirit of the Ronin tribe resides within him, and that is why he became our protector." As Naruto then looked towards his granny with a smile on his face and said, "Even if I wasn't, I would still have protected it. I know, my boy. I know." As Minato then said, "But he's my son, and I know he is. I know about you, Minato Namikaze. The Ronin has told me about everything. You see, us elders are connected with the spirits of the nature of the other side, and we are able to see and hear what they have to say. And we are also aware what kind of man you are. And that is why we have stopped you here. You can take your son, but he is a Ronin member as well. He is the chief of the tribe in the future, so he will return with us and remain here. We will allow you to visit him whenever you want. But he is my son. He has a right to return. I don't wish to. I have seen the shinobi world for what it is, and I do not like it. but I would love to meet, as you say, my brother and my mother as well, father. As Minato then said, you can call me dad as well. I think father is nice enough. How about this, Naruto? How about you go and spend some time in, well, Konoha, right? Where your family resides, said the elder. As Naruto's eyes widened, are you? The Ronin has protected us before you, Naruto, and he will as well again. For the time being, how about you go and spend some time, a few months with your family, to see how you adjust there. And if you can't, then you always have a home here. As Naruto then nodded and hugged his granny, and after that said goodbye to his, well, tribe. And soon after that, we see they begin to make their way back to Konoha. As they were making their way, Minato then said, are you sure that you're going to go like this? What of it? As Naruto was wearing now leather pants that were made from leather of hunted animals, and shoes that were made from boar skin, as well as pads and a lion skin on his, well, waist. And as for the top, it was, well, completely naked and fine. He was topless, and his hair was flowing like a true lion king, down to his waist, his huge blonde locks and his blue eyes. And his tattoos were on display from the tribes as well, as one of the shoulders held moon and the other one held sun seal, and beneath it was a lion on each shoulder, indicating his connections to the Ronin tribe. And he still had the huge blade on his back still, that he fought his enemies with. As Minato then said, it's fine then, I guess. As now we see, it took them a few weeks to return, but they returned back to Konoha, and as soon as they did, everyone was shocked to see who has arrived there. It was a carbon copy of Menma, but a much more toned, stronger one as well. As the elders who knew the symbol were shocked from the stories, as one of the kids who have learned about him and even had, well, glasses, who was a civilian, then said, Ronin, how is that possible? How is it possible for a Ronin tribe to exist? It always has. That's how, said Naruto, answering his question as the kid was shocked, as Naruto was then standing in front of a huge house that has a Uzumaki swirl on it. Is this the place? Yes, son. As now we see, people have gathered already around Naruto. As the door was opened and Kushina, before anything could be said, saw Naruto and stopped. As Naruto immediately realized who she was, as Naruto then said, Mother? As Kushina dashed towards him and gave him a tight, bear-gripping hug again. As Naruto then said, I guess you also have some good strength like Dad, right? You can call her Mom as well, Naruto. I don't realize these terms, but I guess it's fine. As that is when he heard someone coming downstairs, as that is when his gaze fell upon his twin, as Naruto's eyes widened, as he, after, well, Kushina let go of him, stood in front of Menma, who was looking up at him because he was taller than him. As Menma then said, You're my brother, but why are you so tall? As Naruto chuckled and gave his brother a hug, as there were visible cracks, as Menma then said, Oh, can you please let me go? As Naruto chuckled, Of course, little brother. How have you been? Little? I am actually the oldest. What? I am the older brother. He is telling the truth. He was born a minute before of you. Ha! Well, I guess I always wanted one. It's fine, I guess. As said Naruto with a smile on his face. And that night was a festive in its own right. While this was going on with Uzumaki Namikaze family and the tribe, we see that in Amegakure, the shadows again were talking, and they were terrified of the strength by a mere 80-year-old of the Ronin tribe displayed by in front of everyone, and they too were afraid. And on the other side, we see that some enemies such as Orochimaru, Danzo, also were afraid of the newfound strength and soldier after listening to what the reports have to say. It were as if they were exaggerated, but knowing what the kid could do from the Rowan clan, they knew it was far-fetched, and simmer down one as well. And they were indeed reality. We need to do something about this, Danzo. The strength the boy possesses is too much and dangerous. What if the boy turns against us? That is what I fear. Do not worry, in due time, I and my friends, some of them, will do something about him. In the meantime, just relax and leave everything to us, said Danzo, as he came out from the shadows into the moonlight, and so did many others. Orochimaru, Akatsuki had, which was pain, and many others, such as Onigi, who have lied, were all coming together for one thing, and that was to start a war. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this story off, guys, for the time being. If you want a part 2 of this short movie, then do let me know in the comment section. I just came up with this idea after watching an Indian movie, and yeah, I just hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And if you want the part 2, then comment down below as well. As this is Apollo, and I'm signing off for the day. Peace!